Hey guys, welcome back to another true crime video. Today's case really got to me. Don't get me wrong, they all do, but with today's case I was actually able to get some information on the victim himself, and that's special to me because usually I can't find a lot about the people that I talk about. So even though I wish I wasn't making this video, I am happy to be able to tell you all a little about Cody Dodge, who seemed like a genuinely special person. But as always, before diving in, I need to make it clear that I mean absolutely no harm or disrespect to anybody involved in the case. This is simply information that I have gathered for the purpose of spreading awareness, keeping these stories alive, and maybe along the way bringing the victims and their loved ones justice. I always encourage you to do your own research as well. And let's dive in. Cody Lynn Dodge was born August 28, 1981 to Stanley Lynn and Bobby Jean Hoagland Dodge. He had an older sister named Heather and a niece named Tyler, both of whom he was very close to. People who knew Cody said that he was the life of the party and would do anything to make others smile. He was a prankster. He loved Halloween and was known for his crazy costumes. He was also a fan of the 4th of July and enjoyed grilling, but he wasn't too fond of Christmas. He liked Tupac, cooking breakfast for friends and family, and was a Raiders fan, and I'll forgive him for that last part. He had 2 bulldogs named Lazy and Kendra, and he absolutely adored them. He was described as being a giver, always there to listen and to help in any way that he could. He was the type of person to give you the shirt off his back. He was the voice of reason for everyone, but especially his family. When I think of Cody, I imagine him being the glue that held everyone together. Being able to read what people close to Cody had to say about him, I could instantly tell that he had a special energy that not just anyone can possess. So it's no surprise that his murder touched everyone around him. At the time of his death, he was working at Newport Incorporated and had just purchased a house located at 5142 West Red Flower Circle. It seemed like things were going really well for Cody, and that seems to be the theme with a lot of these cases, which just makes it hurt that much more. Despite the kind heart that Cody had, he made mistakes, just like all of us do. Cody was a marijuana dealer. Now, in my humble opinion, marijuana isn't that bad. It's not like he was selling hard drugs that could kill people, but regardless, it was illegal, and unfortunately, I believe this part of his life is what brought upon his death, and dare I say, it's also the reason his death isn't getting the investigation that it deserves. On Saturday, September 22nd of 2007, West Valley Police received a call from a man saying that his roommate had been shot. When police arrived at the scene, they found the body of 26-year-old Cody Dodge with a gunshot wound to the head. Police at the scene could also see and smell marijuana out in the open. They seized what was described as numerous bags of marijuana, totaling to around 21 pounds. They also found around $950 in cash, drug paraphernalia, a rifle, and 2 cell phones. The roommate who made the call, and whom I cannot find a name for, had told police that the night before, Cody had 3 large black garbage bags of marijuana in the living room. The roommate said that he told Cody that he was concerned about the amount of pot in the house and that he needed to get rid of it. Cody replied by saying that he had some errands to run but would be getting rid of most of it during the night. The roommate returned the following morning at around 5 a.m. when he found Cody deceased in the living room. And that is pretty much all the information that you can find on this case. I know I say this in every video, but there has been little to no coverage on Cody's case since it happened. Total, I think I found 3 news articles and none of them very long. So majority of this video is going to be questions and thoughts I have surrounding the information that we do have. So get ready. The first thought I have is regarding the time frame. The article states Cody was killed on Saturday and his roommate found him at around 5 a.m. So I'm assuming his roommate found him at 5 a.m. on Saturday. So my question is, how do they know Cody wasn't killed late Friday night? It may seem trivial, but I do think knowing a rough estimate of the time of death is important, and they've never mentioned anything about the time that Cody might have been killed. Also, when looking at a street view of Cody's house, I noticed that he lived in a cul-de-sac, and the first thought that came to my mind was, how did nobody hear the gunshot that killed him? Playing devil's advocate, you have heard of cases before where people were shot inside their homes and a 911 call was never placed due to shots being heard, so it's not like it's unheard of. And this did happen in West Valley, and if you're from Utah, you know that West Valley is kind of known for being a high crime area, so maybe if a gunshot was heard, people just didn't really think much of it. but it looks like Cody lived in a relatively nice neighborhood, and speaking from experience in my own neighborhood, unfortunately, there have been a couple times where gunshots have been heard and police have always showed up and began patrolling within minutes. Then again, from my understanding, there was only a single gunshot that took place and it happened indoors, so maybe that's why nobody heard it. But you would also think that Cody's dogs would be barking up a storm due to the commotion. I don't know. Those are just some of the initial thoughts that I had when reading up on this case. Investigators have said that they believe Cody's murder was a robbery gone wrong. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. When you look at all of the evidence left behind, roughly 21 pounds of pot, $950 in cash, a rifle, 2 cell phones, and Cody's family have also stated that Cody's jewelry and other valuable items were not taken. So based off of that, this seems like it was personal. Also, there were never any mention of signs of a struggle. Cody was shot execution style and there were no signs of forced entry, meaning that Cody more than likely knew who killed him. It seemed like the person who killed Cody had planned on doing this, but the question is why? Initially, one would have to agree with law enforcement in saying that this was an attempted robbery, but why wouldn't they take anything? I mean, I could see not taking the rifle, cell phones, or jewelry because those items could potentially lead back to them, but why not take the cash or the drugs? Maybe they panicked and after they killed Cody, they just ran. But I just have a hard time wrapping my head around attempting to rob someone, killing them, and then not go through with the robbery. Like I said before, this seems like it was personal, and Cody didn't really seem like the type to have any enemies, but when you're a dealer, odds are you're dealing with a plethora of different people, and some of them are probably on the sketchier side. I do wonder how much marijuana Cody had the night before when his roommate told him he needed to get rid of it. Maybe whoever killed him did take some of it, but left most of it. I don't know, but 21 pounds is a lot to just have on hand. There is a Facebook page dedicated to memorializing and finding justice for Cody, and it's ran by multiple people who were close to him. It's clear to see that there is a lot of hostility from Cody's loved ones towards the West Valley Police Department, and rightfully so, but emotions are obviously running high on this page, so I'm going to try and remain as unbiased as possible. Going through the Facebook posts, I was able to find a little more information that I wasn't able to in any of the news articles. One post said that Cody's 2 bulldogs were covered in blood and there were blood drops all over the house, and they couldn't possibly be Cody's because he was shot in the head. When I read that, I thought, well, if his 2 dogs were covered in his blood, they could have very well tracked Cody's blood throughout the house. But then it was also stated that there was blood found inside Cody's car. And if that's the case, it appears as though the person who killed him was looking for something. But more importantly, why didn't police take this piece of evidence more seriously? This same post said that Cody's car was released back to the family days after his murder. On this particular post, Bobby, Cody's mom, commented on it saying that there was also blood on the porch and implied that one of Cody's dogs bit his killer. Now, we don't know for sure if this is true, but I mean, it's definitely possible. If there was blood that wasn't Cody's at the scene, this would be the only plausible explanation because there weren't any signs of a struggle. It's not like Cody got to defend himself. He was literally shot at point blank range. And there was never any mention in any of the articles about another blood type found at the crime scene. In another post, someone said, quote, "It's 2017 and still no answer to the murder of Cody. We all have feelings about who killed him. We know it was a setup and some people are punks. I won't say the name of who we think is involved, but that person knows who they are. They sat at the funeral pretending to be sad. They live each day knowing they were involved in Cody's murder, and they know that they will be haunted always. We may never get justice here on earth, but I promise you that it will come. One day you will die and see the hurt you caused. One day you will suffer and we all hate you. Man up, bro." End quote. I couldn't imagine being one of Cody's loved ones and knowing that a particular person had something to do with his death. It does make you wonder if they brought this name up to police, and I mean, I'm sure they did, and police just didn't have enough evidence to pursue it, but at the very least, you would hope this person was thoroughly questioned. Something else that immediately struck me as odd concerning the evidence was the 2 cell phones found at Cody's house. You would have to assume that there was something on those cell phones that would lead investigators to who did this. Cody was more than likely talking to somebody and arranging to meet up with people to sell this marijuana. There's also a strong possibility that the person that did this erased any text messages or phone calls that would lead back to them. But even if that were the case, there would be fingerprints, unless of course they wiped down the phones or were wearing gloves. I don't know. Regardless, I think that these cell phones were a major piece of evidence, and I wonder if police even looked into them or if they were just released back to the family like everything else. I get that this happened in 2007, and we've come a long way since then when it comes to technological and forensic advancements, but I still think that it's possible, even if they were deleted, that investigators could have looked into call records and whatnot. I will say I don't really know how it works when the owner of the cell phone is dead and if privacy laws would have allowed it, but something's telling me they didn't even try. I just feel like a lot of the evidence that would be needed to make an arrest in this case lied in those cell phones. I will also say that Cody's house wasn't really near any major intersections that could have possibly had street cameras. Otherwise, it would have been worth looking into and seeing if any cars that drove through them around the time they think Cody was killed looked familiar to friends or family. I don't know. This case really does just leave you with a lot more questions than answers. You would really think with as popular of a guy as Cody was that there would be more people coming forward with information, but maybe people didn't want to go to the police with any information or theories because they felt they couldn't do so without implicating themselves. I do think police should have made it clear that no charges would be filed against people for any illegal drug or alcohol use, and to just come forward with any information like they did in the Kyle Van Komen case, which was the very first case that I covered on here. I mean, really, what's more important, getting people for smoking weed and drinking or catching an actual murderer? People close to Cody have said that they believe he was set up. It seems as though a lot of people don't think that this was a robbery gone wrong, so the question is, why was he set up? Like I said before, Cody didn't really seem like the type to have enemies. He seemed like the kind of guy that was just there to have a good time. So who would dislike Cody enough to murder him? Did he get into some kind of argument at a party? Was this over a girl? Did he owe somebody money? Did he wrong somebody in some way? We don't know, but you wouldn't think that Cody would just let someone in his house who had ill will towards him. So that's when this whole idea of him being set up comes in. Maybe someone close to Cody had set up a meeting with him, but brought along the person or persons who had it out for him. Maybe the person who set up Cody didn't even show up to do this deal, and Cody opened the door and it was like, surprise, the people who were there to kill him were just right there. But there weren't any signs of a struggle, and I don't think Cody would just go out without a fight. He was killed in his living room, and Cody's aunt, Bobby's sister, Carol, went to the morgue to see Cody's body, and she said, quote, "You could see where they put the black thing in your head," and then points to the back of her own head. And she also said it was a complete execution because he was laying on the couch. So based off her statement, it seems as though Cody was shot in the back of the head. And when hearing that, I got the feeling that Cody let his killer in willingly, thinking that he could trust them. They probably asked to use the bathroom or something, and then Cody sat down on his couch getting everything ready, and that's when they came up from behind and shot him in the head. I do believe that Cody knew his killer and he let them in, because I was also thinking, well, maybe Cody wasn't the type to lock his door and they just let themselves in, but I don't think that's the case, because I would think that Cody's two dogs would have alerted him that someone was at the door. Also, when looking at the house that Cody lived in, once you enter the front door, you're in the living room. There's no way that Cody wouldn't have known that someone came into his house. He knew, and he let them in, and that's really shitty. Something else that bothers me about this case is they never said what caliber of gun was used to kill Cody. Now you might ask yourself, does it really matter? Well, yes and no. I just feel like every case that I read about that involves a gun has always mentioned what caliber of gun that was. Now we know, even though it's not the easiest process, ballistic forensics is a thing, and it is possible to link a specific gun to a crime. Now there was a rifle that was considered to be evidence found in Cody's house. We don't know for sure if that was the murder weapon. I don't think that it was, but why else would it be considered evidence? I'm assuming that the rifle was registered to Cody, and if it was in fact the murder weapon, then that just solidifies the theory that it was someone who knew Cody that killed him, someone that knew where he kept that rifle. And if it wasn't Cody's, you would assume that police would have just located the person that the gun was registered to and went from there. I don't know. Those are just some of the thoughts I have surrounding that aspect of the case. But like I said, I don't think that it was the gun that was used to kill Cody, but we don't know. Cody's family have since asked the case be moved to another department, and West Valley Police declined. I mean, if you're not going to allow the case be moved to another department, at least make it clear that you're actively investigating it, and they're not doing that. Now, I know that it seems like I'm constantly going in on investigators in these cases in like every video. I do want to make it clear that overall I support law enforcement, but let's be honest, sometimes they drop the ball, and this is definitely one of those cases where they dropped the ball. You do get the feeling that maybe they didn't want to investigate Cody's murder because of the circumstances surrounding it, but that in no way justifies his case being put up on a shelf and left. Cody was executed in his own home, and he deserves justice. On the Facebook page for Cody, his mom made a post that really struck a chord with me. She said, quote, "Cody worked hard for his money. He had a full-time job, worked 6 days a week. Yes, he sold the wacky tobacco, as some people call it, but he also helped people in need. Single moms with their kids, paying their rent if they couldn't, putting food on their table so they could eat. Did he deserve to die for what he was doing? No, he didn't. Log on to his public figure page and read some of the stuff written. Then people out there might understand why I'm so bitter and dislike West Valley Police Department, because they're doing nothing. Cody is missed, and some of us have never been the same. Just do your job, find who did it, justice for my son," end quote. It's so clear to see that Bobby is hurting, and each year that goes by without answers just knocks her down a little harder. Cody was her rock, and I can't imagine how she feels. She wasn't even contacted by police when Cody was killed. Apparently it was one of Cody's friends that called her and told her that there had been a homicide and that she needed to get over there. Bobby said that once she got to Cody's, they wouldn't let her inside. It was all sealed off, and all they could say was, "We're so sorry," and she just remembers going blank. And to make it even worse, she was also the one that had to clean up Cody's house after his murder. She said, quote, "I remember going over and cleaning up all the blood and taking out all of his clothes, and I blacked out like 4 times," end quote. How traumatizing. Not only is her son murdered, but she has to clean up after the fact. I couldn't even imagine how hard that must have been. I always thought that there was like crime scene cleaners that had to do this, but apparently not. According to a lot of articles that I read online, it is the family's responsibility to clean up after all the evidence is collected. Cody's family has since reached out to Utah's Cold Case Coalition, and they are looking for anyone who has heard anything about his death, even if it is just rumors, and are offering a $3,000 reward for any information leading to closure in his case. The Cold Case Coalition have also created a deck of playing cards which features Utah cases that have a strong chance of being solved. Cody's case appears on the deck's 4 of spades. Each of these cards shows a picture of the victim and a brief summary of the circumstances surrounding their death or disappearance. The purpose of these cards is to spread the word about these cases. You can purchase a deck on the Cold Coalition's Facebook page as well as eBay for $10. Decks were also sold in prison and jail commissaries because people in jail or prison play cards a lot, and the idea is that hopefully someone will recognize the people on these cards and offer any information that could potentially close the case. Cody was loved by so many people, and I really can't stress that enough. I would like to share with you some of the posts people wrote on his memorial page. When I tell you there are so many posts, I'm not exaggerating. Going through all of them really touched my heart and puts into perspective how much of an influence Cody had on those around him. Samantha said, quote, "It was only a month ago that I was in town and we were at my parents' house having a barbecue. Life will never be the same. I'm flying home tonight, and for the first time you will not be there to pick me up and have drinks with me and my parents. How will we all go on without you? I was reading all the letters that you wrote me last night, and I still stand strong that I am Rocky and you are Bullwinkle. I love you with all that I am, Cody," end quote. Danielle said, "Hey cuz, I still can't believe that it's already been 2 years since I've seen you. I miss you so much, and I wish I could give you a hug or hear your voice over the phone and see your big happy smile again. I have realized how precious time was with you. I really miss all the fun times we had together. You were the only person I could trust and talk to about anything. You were one of the only people who showed how much they cared about someone, and I miss that about you. You would do anything to help anybody out. Rest in peace, cuz I love you," end quote. Alex said, quote, "Ever since you've been gone, my life's just been taking a turn for the worst. I don't think I've truly been happy since the last time I saw you when you picked me up and we went to Dee's for breakfast with your friend Bear. Everybody was mad at you because you passed out hella early the night before. I think about that night all the time. I still wonder how things would have been if we chilled that night as was planned. Would we just be chilling at your place and I suffer the same fate? Or would we be out saving us both? Still not a day goes by that this question is on my mind. Candace said, quote, Cody, I have missed you so much the past week. Not that I never miss you, but the past week or so has been bad. I don't know if it's just because I miss having my little talks with you, or if a few things that have came back in my memory, or what it is. It's just hard. I know you hear my prayers. Rest in peace, my friend. Heather said, quote, it's been a while, bro. I haven't forgot you, though. The family's going through some tough times. We all miss you. Ty and I have started karate. Wish us luck, please. Louie said, quote, happy birthday, brother. I miss you like crazy. You would be 30, ha. I used to wonder how things would be, me and you, old and still friends. I would have really liked that, but life didn't have that planned for us. Rest easy, my friend, end quote. Honestly, I wish I could read them all to you. I got pretty emotional going through them, but I will leave a link down below so you can read them if you'd like. Cody Dodge was a special soul, and regardless of the mistakes that he made, he did not deserve to be murdered in cold blood. So many people are still hurting, and with this case, I know that there is more than one person out there that knows something. Do the right thing. Nothing's gonna bring Cody back, but bringing his loved ones a sense of closure will go a long way. People with any information on Cody's case need to call the Utah Cold Case Coalition at 385-258-3777 or Detective Haywood at 801-840-4000. Thank you all for listening to Cody's case. I really do appreciate it, and please let me know what you guys think about this case. I love reading comments and hearing different thoughts and opinions, and I will see you all next time with another Utah case. Bye.
And a mother's pain after 12 years. Bobby Dodge still searching for answers. In 2007, someone murdered her son, and the case remains unsolved. Behind every crime, there's a story, and the truth matters. Here's ABC4 senior crime and punishment correspondent Marcos Ortiz with tonight's Justice Files.
In 2007, someone came into the home of Cody Dodge and shot him point blank. Who did this and why is something his mother wants answers to.
She says there's been a homicide at Cody's, you need to get over there. And I just dropped everything.
And she rushed to where her son was living. West Valley police were inside investigating a homicide.
And I went to go in, they wouldn't even let me go in his house. It was all sealed off. And all they could say to me was, we're so sorry. And
she went down.
I held it back for a minute.
Her son, Cody Dodge, laid on the living room floor, dead from a gunshot. She can't erase those moments from September 2007.
And then I just remember going over and cleaning up all the blood and taking out all of his clothes. And I blacked out like 4 times.
He was shot in the head. I lifted his head and I looked at his head and I seen where they put the black thing in your hair, your head. Yes, it was a complete execution because he was laying on the couch.
She says no one else was in the house when Dodge was shot. To date, police never told her about why this happened.
I says it wasn't a robbery. I says, so what could it be?
And they said?
And they never gave me an answer. To this day, I never got an answer on that one.
Dodge's murder is listed on the cold case website of West Valley Police. From the outset, his mother says information has been scarce.
Someone has to come forward. You can't hold a murder in the rest of your life. You know, this has been held in going on 11 years. 11 years is a long time to hold something in.
The Utah Cold Case Coalition is offering a $3,000 reward for any information that leads to an arrest and or conviction. For details, visit our website, abc4.com, click on this story, and follow the link. For the Justice Files, Marcos Ortiz, ABC4 News.